Tarot Maniacs. Tonight we're going to look at Dr. Anthony Fauci from three very different perspectives. So first, we're going to discuss what the Fifth Amendment actually means in a congressional hearing. I know a lot of my viewership is from outside of the United States. So I want to make sure that we understand why he chose the Fifth and how the Fifth Amendment works when you're in a hearing. Second, we're going to look at the astrological aspects that are surrounding this particular chapter of his life, meaning right now, not what happened back in 2020 and 2021. And finally, we're going to close it up with a tarot reading. We're going to use my yellow brick road. It's a bespoke spread that I created for myself. We're not going to determine his legal guilt or innocence because we're going to find that out in time. In real time, but we're going to explore the energies, the challenges, and the guidance that can surround him at this moment. Now, the yellow brick road reading, I use that to give people some direction. So if I give him some good direction at this part of the reading, don't get mad at me. This is what I do for clients, just like you guys. I want to make sure that everybody can live their best life and have maximum success in their world. So we'll be right back. Welcome back, Tarot fam. I'm Annabelle. If it's your first time here, I'm a tarot practitioner and psychic for over 35 years. I am also an astrology student as of 2026. Knew enough to be dangerous before this. Now I know enough to be really dangerous. So we're going to talk a little bit in the second part about the astrology that I found with Dr. Fauci. But first, I think it's really important that you understand how the Fifth Amendment works when we're in a courtroom. One of the things that I saw, and I did briefly discuss it in a live or an earlier video, Mark Furman from the O.J. Simpson case had to plead the Fifth at one point during his hearing and trial. And what the Fifth does is once you have to declare the Fifth or plead the Fifth, you have to do it for all subsequent questions. And we saw this in action when Dr. Fauci was being questioned by one of our senators. So just the overview, the Fifth Amendment protects someone from being forced to provide testimony that could incriminate them should there be a criminal trial that comes up. It is a constitutional right. And many times we do see that innocent people will invoke it. Guilty people sometimes invoke it. The Constitution itself does not specify that if you invoke it, it proves guilt or anything like that. So why did Fauci invoke the Fifth Amendment when he has an existing presidential pardon from President Joe Biden? So presidential pardons generally cover federal offenses that are specified by the pardon. So I'm going to, in the next few days, go back and look at the actual wording on that pardon. They don't necessarily eliminate every conceivable legal risk. So if you get a presidential pardon, it doesn't mean that you can go willy-nilly and like do anything. There are certain things that do not get covered by that presidential pardon. Taking someone off the earth plane is one of those things. So lawyers tend to think in terms of minimizing legal risk, not public perception. So the wording of that is what we have to look at. So the advice that attorneys will give, if there's any meaningful possibility of self-incrimination, don't answer. And that's where some people will come in and use the Fifth. So why answer nothing in this case? And we do remember Senator Crowley, I think his name is, asked, what color is the carpet? What color tie are you wearing? And Fauci even looked down at the carpet when he asked him about the carpet question. The explanation for this is that every single answer is going to create evidence after you plead the Fifth. So an example of this, Was I at NIH? The calendar shows that he wasn't, or I was at NIH. The calendar shows that he wasn't. And now investigators have a false statement, which could be impeachment, could also be perjury, contradiction, and lawyers hate that kind of unnecessary testimony. So Josh Hawley, I'm sorry, that was his name. So, Josh Hawley, when he initially started questioning Fauci, said nothing shows honesty like pleading the fifth. So essentially what he demonstrated was if you don't answer the day of the week or the color of the carpet, people are going to conclude that you're hiding something. So those questions don't matter. It was really the strategy that mattered there. So likely the attorneys and the big brains that were on board wanted to show absolute consistency of Fauci not answering, or in Fauci's case, him not answering. So if that makes sense. So now that we've looked at the law, we're going to move into something completely different. We're going to talk a little bit about the symbolism of astrology. So Anthony Fauci was born December 20th, 1940. I can't believe he's that old. I just thought he was much younger. He's born in Brooklyn, New York, and I do not have a verified time. So we are going to speak in generalities here. So current themes for him: legacy. This is for his lifetime. Heavy Saturn influence, legacy, responsibility, accountability, consequences from previous decisions, and public judgment. So Saturn often asks what remains after the headlines are over. And what we're seeing in this hearing, especially with the diary entries, is that Dr. Fauci was very much concerned about his public perception and also his legacy. He wanted to go down in the annals like Jonah Salk, any of our really amazing doctors out there. Now, Pluto also has a significant position in his chart, which is power, institutions, transformation, control, old systems being dismantled. So I think when the Biden administration, a friendlier administration to him, was in power, I think that he did grow into that power. Dr. Fauci, I think he got very comfortable within the institution, transforming himself from just being a doctor, and I believe he is a virologist, to someone who is a power player within the government system. So you have to keep in mind, like, as an insurance person, I have an insurance license. I worked as an insurance producer, retention specialist. Coveted job would be to leave that and go work for the Department of Banking and Insurance. I would have a lot more agency over the things and the systems that I didn't like when I was working as a producer. I think Dr. Fauci is very similar to this. I think he wanted to step out of that doctor role and into more of an administrative role, albeit a very highly placed administrative role. So is his influence shrinking? Let's pull up some cards and take a look at this. I'm going to bring up the card view. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. And I'm going to be using the Choose Your Own Adventure on here because I think that that is going to be a great deck for Fauci. So is his influence shrinking? Let's see what we get here, kids. Let's see what we get. I just want to move some markers onto my table so that I don't move my cards too far. Influence shrinking. The Devil, Ace of Cups, Five of Wands, the Magician, and the Knight of Wands. So I think that his influence is what it is right now. What does that mean? That means that this legacy and the influence that he has via that legacy is going to stay put. This is favorable. The Ace of Cups, I do think that there is going to be some favorable looking at him. Don't shoot the messenger here, guys. I just had a customer service person say that to me because Anna Milla showed up. I had a little bit of an Anna Milla moment. But over here, I do think that he's going to turn over a new leaf. I know what's done is done. 1 million people, guys, 1 million people, they talked about it. And I just want you guys to know, I don't know if this video is going to get shadow banned. We'll see. But over here, Five of Wands, Magician, he's going to have people that back him up on this. But I think he is done with anything like this. I think once he gets through this hearing, I think he is going to, if he is not continually prosecuted for anything, I think he's going to go off into the distance. How is history going to remember him starting right now? How is history going to remember him? 4 of Pentacles, 6 of Swords, ineffective, 2 of Pentacles, talking out of both sides of his mouth and turning the whole world upside down. I don't think that history is going to remember him very well. The 4 of Pentacles, especially here, because of the diary entries that we're seeing. And if you haven't seen it, there are some funny AI videos of him, dear diary, with a big fluffy pen in a little girl's room. So, not to mock someone when they're down, but, Fauci had us pinned down for 2 years. So this is pretty interesting with that 4 of Pentacles. Let's talk a little bit more about some other influences. I'm going to pull those cards down so that I'm not taxing your eyes here, guys. So confusion, conflicting narratives, public perception, we get all of that with the Neptune influence, competing truths and polarization. So this, I think, is something that he has been doing for some time. I wouldn't be surprised if this was something that he saw in his professional life as well. So let's get into August. Pressure is going to continue. There will be a lot of legal attention and public attention, and it feels really heavy. Let's take a look at August with our cards. We got our card view back up. We'll just leave it up. We'll just leave it up for now. Card view, August for Fauci. 3 of Wands. He's going to need a little bit more help, and he's going to have to pray to God. The Star, there's going to be more documentation that comes out. They're going to present more of his documentation at one point in defense of him. Is that going to be public, or is that going to be in the private sector? It is a panic. I think some of that information is going to be leaking, and there's going to be contrary explanation of what happened. So I think we've got that there. Certainly, August, I'm going to agree with the astrology, feels extremely heavy and sluggish. Let's see what September is. September is more documentation and investigations, historical reviews. They're going to be going back in time. Less emotional, more procedural. How is it going to be for him? 2 of Pentacles. They're going to find he cooked the books to save his skin. Wheel of Fortune. And 6 of Pentacles. He's going to ask for mercy and likely not get any. So I think they're going to find that if there are lab reviews, and Zephyr K9, I'm not forgetting about the beagles. And I actually saw a beagle the other day, and I was like, oh, dang it. I saw it on X. They had those poor little beagles. But I think he has 2 sets of notes for some of the things that he's been involved in. And I think he has 1 personal set of notes and then 1 public set of notes. And I think we may find that out. And that may be something that really jams him up. And I think he'll say, I was following orders. We're going back to, back in the 40s, there was an organization out of Germany, and they cooked the books too. What's his September look like? Or October. There's going to be another spike of renewed headlines and possible disclosures. So I'm going to stick with what I said, that I think we're going to find out. There's 2 sets of books. So hopefully that is going to be a future cast, and hopefully a psychic score in the future. So I want to remind everybody, all my viewers, new and old, if you ever run across a video where I did get something correct, please hashtag psychic score in the comments. I will go pluck it out and feature it. I love when you guys give me feedback and let me know when I get something right. October also will bring a lot of public debates and a lot of fury. So I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth here. So what we can talk about in terms of the way the astrology is leading us. Now, a very, very good friend of mine who's a great astrologer, part-time casual astrologer, she says that astrology, while a science, it is something that we need to use some intuitive understanding and ability to apply that specific science to the individual. So astrology describes symbolic themes and timing, but it doesn't determine whether someone committed a crime or whether charges will be filed or whether someone's going to be convicted. Those outcomes depend on facts, evidence, and legal process. Also, astrology, since it gives us symbolic themes and timing, we can use psychic ability or tarot cards and all kinds of fun stuff like that to give people direction. So what I want to do is help Dr. Fauci. I know, don't get mad at me. I want to show you guys how I could help Dr. Fauci if he would listen to me. So let's do the yellow brick road reading. So we're going to start. Where is Fauci now? What is his current energy? Where is he standing? What's his emotional condition with all of the information that's in place from what he's done? Two of Wands. He is torn in two places. He really does not want them to know about that second set of books or even that dear diary that he had. What is the pressure? The pressure is that he was selling a magic elixir that none of us had. None of us had. We didn't have a magic elixir. What we had was a possible solution to the situation. Possible. So what other pressures do we have there? Five of Cups. He's resolute in believing in what he believed in. We also have the Death card, which says, I'm not going to transform from what I was. I'm going to stick to the story. I am the science. Remember, he said, I am the science. I am the science. So interesting, interesting. What is the hidden hand here? We can also call that like the biggest obstacle. What is the hidden hand here? The High Priestess. Now, the High Priestess is the knowing of the unknown. There are going to be testimonials, people talking about what happened to them, how they were damaged by this. And I'm not talking about not being able to see family members or individuals when they were in the hospital, but actual, the thing, injury from that. We're gonna have a lot of testimony for that. So buckle up for that. I do think we're going to get some really, really interesting things. What will be his public face moving forward? He is going to still claim altruism, Hippocratic oath, promise to heal. He's still going to claim that. He's going to say, I did this because this was what my science showed me. This is what I believed in. What is his private goal in all of this? Wheel of Fortune. He wants people to look upon him favorably. He wants the world, the court, all of the politicians to look upon him favorably. In his heart of hearts, he really does believe that he saved the world, I think he should have been less worried about getting on the cover of Vanity Fair. Editorial there. Likely pivot for him is the Three of Wands. Three of Wands indicates that we're going to bring other individuals into this. So I think he's going to add more people in there that are part of the decision-making process here. Now, during the pandemic, I heard nobody else squawking about this except for him. But now he's going to say, I had other people that I was working with, other people that agreed with me, and other people that know that this was the right decision to make. But he's pled the fifth. Do we ever get to hear anything like that out of him? Do we? No, there's so much duplicitousness in him. We're going to hear two different stories all along. So guys, he's going to be up there for a bit. So I didn't watch the rest of it today. I wanted to get a video out for you guys. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, we're going to have the members into general audience live. And then on Friday night, we are going to have a little live bash. So 8 o'clock Friday night, 10 a.m. Friday morning, you are going to get doubleheader live Annabelle. We're going to do Annabelle After Dark, I guess. And Saturday, we're still going to do our bikini live. I want to remind everybody, I've got oodles of time open on my calendar for the birthday readings, and I'm going to extend it through Saturday just because I want to make sure that everybody can get a reading if they want one. So I'm going to extend it through Saturday just in case you didn't have time yet. So guys, thank you so much. I will see you all in the future.